So, I go through this every damn day. You wonder why I don't post as often as I could. This is why. So we're here for The Gifted, Season 1, Episode 2, RX. RX as in the medical prescription abbreviation. Anyway, so it really fits in, obviously, to what the episode is really about, which is trying to get the serum for Blink, who's causing a whole bunch of turmoil at MU. So anyway, we'll start from the beginning. There was like a few different scenes going on during this episode, which made it kind of hard to keep track of everything, but I'm gonna do my best. So we start with this flashback, and the Strucker family, they're at this bowling alley. They're not having fun and stuff. A little like cool moment with Lauren's powers. She like flicks her wrists and knocks the last pin down, because she knocked all the pins down but one, and she ends up knocking the other pin down with her powers. And getting a strike. So that was awesome. We get this little scene with this girl who's getting bullied by this group of kids, teenagers or whatever they are, and and her father's trying to defend her, and all of a sudden her powers manifest, and she sends like a shockwave throughout the entire bowling alley. The Strucker family witnesses this, and the father steps in. Reed steps in, and he goes up to the father and is like, you guys should go. You guys should leave. And the father's like, did you see what they were doing to her though? And he's like, yeah, but a mutant who is destroying property, is gonna hold a lot more weight than some kids bullying the girl, and they're gonna look at her, the mutant, and kind of paint her with a finer brush than all the other ones, than all the other kids, which is really sad. And obviously, like, that's again something that we go through today. It's gonna get political. This whole show is political, and so I'm going to be a little bit more political on these videos, because it fits in. We have a lot of laws that can be bended, and a lot of people who bend the laws, people in power who bend the laws to fit those who are in the majority. In this, you obviously have the mutants, and then the humans. And the mutants, the laws against the mutants are probably a lot more harsh than the ones against humans. So anyway, we're back to the present, and at the Mutant Underground HQ, obviously Reed was left behind, so they're talking about that, trying to, see about going to find him and get him back. And Blink is just in bad condition. She's like fatigued, she's lying down and everything, and they're trying to, calm her down a little bit, trying to make her feel a little bit better, but nothing is working. Flash over to Sentinel Services. They're still searching for them. They're not finding anything though, because they teleported away. They don't know where the headquarters is, so obviously they can't find them. So Jason Pitts. I'm gonna continue to call him Jason Pitts. I don't really even care. I don't. Jace Turner is his name. He has Reed in his custody, and he's going to go and interrogate him. And he's not that intimidating, honestly, because of the fact that Cody has been in so many like more comedic roles. I can't see him as like this, supposedly intimidating agent for Sentinel Services. I just can't. I don't know. But anyway, yeah. So they sedated him a little bit. They tranquilized him. He couldn't feel his legs and stuff, so he couldn't move. And they take him off. So now we're going to Lorna, who's in jail. Okay. Obviously when you're like in the, you're going in jail, if you're going to a dude's jail, like the dudes be hollering at you, and in the women's jail. They always simulate that. I don't know if that actually happens, but they always simulate that. But it is what it is. So anyway, obviously Lorna has powers over magnetism, so she tries to use her powers to open the bars. Obviously, it's not that easy. I don't know why she thought it would be that easy. She was able to activate them, but the inhibitor collar that she was wearing around her neck, it kind of shocked her system when she tried to use it. I guess it kind of can detect, obviously, can detect when you're about to use your powers. And she knocks herself out. Back to MU. I'm going to just call it MU or MUN. So we have John, we have Marcus. And they're trying to help Blink. Blink, her powers are kind of going crazy. And she's kind of like spazzing out a little bit. And, Caitlin, she's like, oh, I'm a nurse. And, let me take a look at her and see what we can do to help her out. But, obviously she doesn't really have too much with mutants. She said she took a course on how to help, mutants. She's going to need, like, something to sedate her and something to help to numb the pain and everything else that's going on with her, and to try and to kind of inhibit her powers for a time so that she can calm down. But anyway, so we have this scene where her powers manifest, Blink's, obviously out of her control, and it opens to a road, a dark road, and they see a truck coming at them, and is about to head through the portal, and it kind of like stops and sways to the left, or like sways around a little bit, and half of the truck actually goes. So the portal is actually closed. It closes up as the truck is coming through, and you know what happens when the portal closes. Anything that's in the portal gets sliced, and it actually sliced the truck in half, sending the back end of the truck through the portal, and it almost like barrels over everybody. But nobody was hurt. It was fine. The portal opens again, and they see these guys standing around, obviously wondering what happened, and they have like shotguns and stuff, like they're ready to rumble. I don't know what was going on. I don't know what they thought they were gonna do, but luckily Lauren was able to use her powers to compress and close the portal. It took a lot, but that was a good scene for her. She's really using her power. Like I like I said in the last one, I love Lauren so far. Like she's turning out to be like a pretty cool character, and I like her powers a lot. But anyway, so Caitlin says, they have to find the medicine that's needed to help Blink. There's nothing that they can actually do there at MU. She really suggests them to go to a hospital, but because of the fact that Blink is wanted, and so are the rest of the mutants in the Mutant Underground, that's the reason why they're there, there's no possible way that they could go to a hospital without being arrested in the process. So they go on a mission. Caitlin and Marcos, they go on this mission to go and get serum. Okay. So Reed, back at the Sentinel Services, he's being interrogated by Jace, and kind of trying to prolong his time and try to get out of the interrogating by saying, oh, I'm not here with a lawyer and all this stuff. But Sentinel Service, they're kind of shady, and they kind of operate like kind of under the table. They're kind of like beneath the government in a way, like in the shadows in a way. And I feel like a lot of the times they do things that aren't necessarily within the space of the law. Jace obviously wants to know why he's working so hard to cover up the fact that his family is they're fugitives now and stuff. And just a while ago, and they were talking about Lorna as well, and how he used Lorna's file to get in touch with MU. And Jace is like, well, why all of a sudden do you want to help these mutants when you were just prosecuting them a while ago? And it all comes down to perspective. If it wasn't directly affecting you, would you actually help? And that's something that's also key in what's going on with our society. You have a lot of people who don't do anything. You know, they're not on either side, and those are kind of like the worst people. The people who the people who know that something is going on, but then they decide to do nothing. I think that's like kind of bad, to be on the fence. I'd rather you be an enemy than be somebody who's neutral, because then you can like flip flop to either side, and I don't know if you're a friend or an enemy. You know, that sort of a situation there is kind of what fits into this right here. But that's in that scene. Now we come back, and we're back with Lorna, and Lorna, she sees another mutant. She's going down the hall. She sees another mutant with like white skin, so she's clearly not the only mutant in this jail. You know, when she came in, she thought she probably would be one of the only ones. Clearly not. They clearly have other mutants who were there, who were captured. And anyway, we get the shower scene, which a lot of people were complaining about the fact that, oh, Lorna Dane, she's supposed to have green hair and all this stuff. And I'm like, just wait for it, okay? I was on Twitter, I was just like, just wait for it. She'll be fine. But when we see her in the shower, she's taking a shower and she's washing out her hair and stuff. And then, you know, her hair actually turns green. Apparently the black hair was dyed in, or I don't know if, like, you know, getting it wet made it turn green or whatever. I don't know what happened, but the green is her natural color. So everybody's like looking at her like, oh, okay. Like they didn't really know what to do. They looked at her kind of weird or whatever. I don't really know what was going on with that. It was just a little bit weird, but they realized that, oh, this girl is definitely a mutant. We need to, you know, kind of look out for her. Back at the MUN, another portal opens, and this time it's like during the day, and obviously it's the same road, but this time there's like a whole bunch of police around, a whole bunch of cop cars around investigating the scene, and then all of a sudden the portal opens. And this time it's harder for Lauren to close it. Blink's power is becoming a little bit more unstable. The more unstable that it gets, the harder it is for Lauren to close the portal. So yeah, she ends up closing it, but you know, it was almost like to the point where, you know, the police were gonna like come in, or I thought that like somebody was gonna shoot or something, but they didn't. They ended up calling SWAT, which we'll get to later. So you know, we're getting this scene with John and one of the other mutants. They're like arguing over whether or not to keep Blink with them, or to just send her on her way so as not to put everyone else's lives in danger in MU, but John does not want that to happen. To the hospital with Caitlin and Eclipse and or Marcos. Okay, so they clearly see that the hospital is heavily guarded. They're not going to be able to just get in there and get the serum. It's gonna take, you know, more of a covert plan. So you know, they see, well, Caitlin sees that, you know, Marcus has a wound, and she's like, oh, well, let's use this to get into the ER. And then she realizes that he doesn't bleed like everybody else. Instead of bleeding blood, he bleeds like light. Like his body is completely made up of like photons and like energy. And if like he gets shot, or if he gets injured, if he gets cut, you're probably gonna get burned alive or something. So they use that as a way to get into the ER to get the serum. Okay, and then when they're in there and he's getting treated, okay, and he's getting treated, the doctor pulls Caitlin aside because she pretends to be like his girlfriend, and you know, she also has the cut that she had from the truck incident earlier. So you know, she's kind of has like a marks here and stuff. So the doctor pulls her aside and, you know, asks, has he been beating you? Is this like a domestic violence case or whatever? Because I have to report this. And she denies. And, you know, she's like, well, you know, a lot of people think that it's like a thrill dating a mutant or something. And it does play a lot into society as well. You have a lot of people who like to date other races for the thrill of it. or they just kind of like the idea of, it's like they over sexualize someone of like a different race or something, kind of like how black women are overly sexualized a lot of the time, you know, by especially by the white majority. A lot of the white majority, they sexualize black women, but then they don't want to really hold them to a high standard when it comes to social issues and all that stuff. And I like how it kind of came out with that. You know, there's probably a lot of humans who have like a fetish for mutants, and they want to date mutants because they think it'll be interesting or they'll be like thrilling and stuff and whatever. But you know, Kate is like finally seeing just how mistreated mutants are, and just how how unfavorable they are in society. Back to Jason Pitts. Okay, back to Jace. The government. Okay, so he talks a little bit about the government, you know, and about the mutant underground, because he's trying to, you know, get. He wants to find the location of it, obviously, because he wants to get all those mutants. And you know, he's talking to Reed about the government possibly making the MUN a terrorist group like the Brotherhood or the X-Men. And then we finally get to see his issue with mutants. Apparently, a mutant killed his daughter. Now, I don't know, you know, we don't know the details of the story. We don't know exactly what happened. We'll probably find out in, you know, maybe before the season ends, we'll find out exactly what happened. Maybe they'll show us in a flashback, or maybe he'll just tell us. But we don't know yet. But this is the reason why he's so proactive in this. I feel like his heart probably isn't in this, especially because there are a lot of innocent mutants out there. But he's clouded, his judgment is clouded because he lost his daughter, who was only 7 years old, to a mutant attack. But you know, that's a kind of like a way for us to kind of give him a little sympathy, to kind of take pity on the character of Jace, because up until now he's been like a complete jackass. But this kind of showed him in a different light a little bit. But again, we'll find out more later. So back at the jail, Lorna's in the yard, and this woman comes up to her and is like all like, you know, like bossed up and everything, trying to be, you know, the leader of all the mutants. She's like, well, you know what, you guys may have the power out there, but in here I've got the power, and you're gonna follow what I do and everything. And then she, you know, Lorna, you know, she has a sly tongue, so she, you know, she says her little shade, and then they end up knocking her to the ground and punching her in the face and everything. And then the woman comes up, she's like, oh, I hear you knocked up. And then she goes and she kicks her in the stomach. And I was just like, oh my god, that was really bad. And she, you know, Lorna, I don't know if Lorna actually knew she was pregnant. I don't know. It didn't seem like she did. It really didn't seem like she did. But like, because the way her face was like in shock when she said that she was knocked up, it didn't seem like Lorna actually knew about this. But I don't even know. When she's kicked in the stomach, her power activates, and then the COs come, and they come to put her in the solitary confinement, so she can't hurt anybody or whatever. So yeah, back at the Mutant Underground, Blink's condition is not getting any better. Portals are opening again, and this time Lauren actually cannot close it. And this time the police get in, like the SWAT team is able to infiltrate the MU and get in there. But thank God, Thunderbird, he's fighting back. You got everybody fighting back. And then finally, Andy comes in and he uses whatever power he has. He pushes them all back. And then, they're able to close that portal. But unfortunately, at this point, multiple portals are opening because Blink has completely lost all control of her powers. So there's like multiple portals opening to that road and closing, opening, closing. It's crazy. It looked really crazy. It looked like some like crazy space battle or something in there. So we get back to Sentinel Services. Jace is leading Reed into a room, and Reed is like kind of confident about the fact that they're not going to be able to pull anything on him or anything. But when he walks into the room, he sees that they brought his mother in to be interrogated, to be questioned about everything going on. And they have phone records and stuff of her calling Reed, and they're trying to put her in the position like she is also involved with the running away and stuff. But she knows nothing really about that. She really doesn't know anything about it and everything, but they're just trying to use her to scare Reed into revealing all the information about the kids, about his family, and about the MU. She's gonna choose the mother and let her, and just like completely reveal the location of the MU, or is he just going to let them continue to question his mother and all of that and protect his family? It's difficult. It's a difficult choice, and they knew that. That's the reason why they brought her there. But anyway, so there's this little car scene with Caitlin and Eclipse, and he's kind of sharing his story a little bit, because Caitlin asked Marcos, she's like, oh, well, how did your family deal with this situation about you being a mutant? And he's like, well, they didn't. He's like, my powers activated at 13 and they kicked me out right away. And in last week's episode, I talked a little bit about the opposite sides of the spectrums, and how in the comics, in like the X-Men comics and in the movies, Iceman, his family was kind of against him, Iceman, and him being a mutant and him wanting to actually explore being a mutant. They didn't want him to, but he did, and they didn't really support him. So we have Marcos, who is on that side of the spectrum, whereas again, we have the Strucker family, who's on the opposite side of the spectrum, in which they want to protect their kids who now have mutant abilities. They get back to MU, and there's like portals everywhere. It looks like a battle zone. It's crazy. And this is where Kate kind of becomes the MVP of this episode, because she sees everybody is like trying to get out of the building and everything, and things are just falling apart. Portals, the fact that the portals are opening everywhere is causing a rift, because things are teleporting out, teleporting in, and it's just crazy. So she rushes into the building, despite the kids wanting to stop her, obviously. I thought that she may have lost her life at this point, but she didn't, thank God. Because that would have been crazy to have a death in like the second episode, like a major character dying. I don't think that they would actually do that. She's like a leading character. I don't know if they would do that so soon. But so she rushes in there, and she is looking around to see how to get that, because they're on the lower level and she's on the top level, and she can't like jump down there like that. So she finds a portal, one of the portals that leads to where Blink is, and jumps through it, which was honestly kind of cool. So anyway, yeah, she jumps through one of the portals to get to Clarice, and then she gives her the serum, and she's able to calm down. She's sedated a little bit, and like all of the portals close. It was a pretty good scene. Like, we got to see Kate like really like sacrifice for someone, for someone else, where some may have thought that she wouldn't go this extra mile. She did it because now she's kind of on this side with the mutants, because her children are mutants. So now she can put herself in their shoes and see, like, they are, real people with real emotions, and they have real struggle, and they need all the help that they can get to be treated fairly by society. There's lots of damage done, obviously, to the building. They're going to have to do a lot of repairing and everything. But one interesting thing that happens is that, Johnny comes up to Clarice, and he's asking her, how are you and everything, and they're making little side jokes here and there. But then he asks her a question. He's like, you kept on opening this portal when your powers are out of control. You kept on opening this portal to this road. And, what is the road's significance? It can't be a coincidence that every single time she opened the portal, it was to that same road. It wasn't like it was just a random place. It was always that road. So there has to be something that's like really, really important about that road, about wherever that area is. That's probably close to Clarice, that she would continue to open portals to it while she was kind of out of control. But yeah, anyway, we end with the scene at the Sentinel Services, and he is back in the interrogation room, Reed, with Jace, and, at this point, it's kind of like a stalemate, but then, you know, Reed kind of realizes that Sentinel Services has nothing. They every fugitive that they tried to catch, they lost. And since the very beginning, the very first episode, I mean, Blink, they were trying to catch Blink. They couldn't catch Blink. They were trying to get at, they obviously got Lorna, but then they lost the Struckers. So, and then they also lost John and Blink and Marcus. That like they lost all of them. They've expended a lot of their resources and have gotten nothing. And Reed is using this to his advantage to say, look, you need me more than I need you. But through all of this, Jace is still trying to get the location of MU. He's like, yeah, you can have your lawyer, you can have all of this stuff, but under one condition. I need to know where the mutant underground is. And then we'll see in the next episode what, Reed decides to do. Is he going to give the location of MU, or is he just going to kind of, maneuver his way through without doing that like he has been doing? I'm not sure that he's really going to do that because he knows that they're not going to hold up their end of the bargain. I feel like they're still going to take the kids and the rest of the family in, and it's not even going to matter that they made like a deal. I don't know. I feel like he knows that is going to happen, and that's the reason why he's not really going to do it. But again, we'll see in the next episode. Next week we'll see. Anyway, this episode was pretty interesting. This episode was actually pretty good. And you got to learn a little bit more about each of the characters, a little bit of backstory with Marcos and even with Jace. And you got to learn a little bit more into the Strucker and into the Struckers, and kind of where Reed's loyalties lie, kind of where they were before and where they are now, and kind of like a compare and contrast as to how he used to operate. But yeah, that was The Gifted, episode 2. I'm gonna do this differently from now on, and honestly, I feel like I should have done it this time. Instead of going scene by scene, which is a little bit confusing even to me, I'm instead going to do story by story. So if there's a certain plot line that involves a specific character or a specific characters or something, then I'm gonna cover that entire plot line first, and I'm gonna go plot line by plot line. So in this, I would have started with like the situation at MU, and then I would have gone to where Reed was, and then I would have gone to the hospital, and then I would have gone to any of the other scenes that occurred. Like going from scene to scene is a little bit much, so I'm gonna do plot line by plot line by plot line. So that's how it's going to go from the next episode and on. Like I said, I'm still new to this. I'm still getting the hang of everything. So, bear with me. I promise that I'll get the hang of it, and we'll be able to zoom through these with no problem. But anyway, you're gonna get this a little late because I had a couple of interruptions and I'm like extremely tired and I have to work tomorrow. So I'm gonna definitely post this tomorrow morning though, so you'll get it in the morning rather than the night of the episode. So anyway, I hope everybody has a great night. Take care.